Welcome to the Queer Confidence Podcast, the podcast to help you become your most confident queer self. I'm your host, he, she, they, Coach Alex Ray, and I haven't always been this confident. In fact, I used to be super insecure. And through this show, I want to share with you what's worked for me, my clients, and my guests so that you can become more confident. Hi there, unicorn. Oh my goodness. Can you believe that 2021 is coming to an end here? Like, what the heck? I need to check my calendar real quick. I'm trying to think. The day that this comes out, like, it's like the end of the year. Is that right? Like, hold on here. What is going on? Tomorrow is New Year's Eve. What? That is crazy. Wow, what a year 2021 has been. It has been it's been a good one. It's been a real good one. And I've enjoyed it. It's been a lot of ups and downs, a lot of growth, a lot of contrast, right? The contrast between things that have felt really great and things that have felt really awful. I feel like I've learned so much personally, and I hope that you've had a similar experience. I hope that you've enjoyed this year, even if it didn't all go according to plan. I'm hopeful for you that you were able to turn it into something that gave you an experience you desire, like growth or understanding yourself better. Hopefully, at a bare minimum, if you are listening to this podcast, it has helped you become more confident, to know yourself deeper, to love yourself deeper, to have a more trusting, positive relationship with yourself. That's my hope for you. Today, I want to share with you about when I am wrong. And I would love to just share with you some recent experiences I've had and some things that's brought to my attention about myself and ways that I've been wrong in the past and maybe had unintended consequences. This podcast will be a little bit all over. I just want to be kind of candid and chat with you today. So let's start with talking about being wrong. And so first off, there are times when I have just been flat out wrong in my life. There are times that I've been flat out wrong on this podcast, I'm sure. And there are also times I've been wrong for you, right? That's the interesting thing about right and wrong. It is kind of relative, because what's right for you might be wrong for me and vice versa. And I really think that the mission we have, well, part of our mission in our lifetime is to be getting closer and in understanding and everything in our life to what is right for us and what's wrong for us. And oftentimes I know when I listen to messages from other thought leaders, other coaches, other inspirational speakers, read books, etc., there are certain things that I'm like, oh my gosh, this is perfect. This is great. And there are other things that I'm like, I don't know if I really agree with that. And it seems to be working for them, right? If they're preaching it, it probably has worked for them or is working for them. And I give myself permission for it to be right for them and not right for me. Now, this is not something I've always been good at. In fact, only over the course of the past couple months have I really seen this obviously in my life. And my coach, I'm working with a new coach, Mike Iameli. You all heard him on the podcast oh my God, like more than a month ago. Was it 2 months ago? I don't know. Anyway, such a great episode with him talking about sensitivities. And he really helped me see that so clearly, that what is right for me might be wrong for someone else and vice versa. Just because they say it works doesn't mean that it's right for me. And I really think that that is the main message today. First of all, I want to apologize for not being more upfront about this mindset sooner. It's one of those areas where I think I've just sort of assumed everyone was on board. And I realize more and more now that me speaking up and explicitly saying things is really what's much more helpful. Of course, I will always continue to miss things, but my intent is that the more and more I find things that I've missed, the more quickly I'm going to speak up about them. So this is something that I've noticed recently, that I've had some conversations with people that have kind of taken some things away from my podcast. And they were like, I don't really agree with that, or I'm not sure that really works for me. And I want to, for the first time ever on this podcast, explicitly put a blanket statement out there that anything I ever say on here could be flat out wrong. It could be. I could be wrong. Or it might be that I'm just wrong for you. And I think probably it doesn't exactly matter as much whether I'm wrong for me and everyone, or if it's just wrong for you. If it's wrong for you, that is enough to just toss out whatever doesn't work for you. So permission granted, not that you needed it, not that you needed permission, right? You always have this in every area of your life, but permission reminded that you can always take whatever you want from these podcasts and toss the rest. Keep whatever seems to work really well for you, and anything that doesn't, it's an invitation to get to know yourself better. Is this a thing that, works well for Alex? I'm curious why it works for Alex. It doesn't seem to ring true in my life. Why do I disagree with this? What is it about this thing that maybe bothers me? Not out of a self-blamey way or self-gaslighting kind of way, but in a way that feels like loving self-discovery. That's my encouragement to you. So forever and always, anything on the podcast, please always check it through your lens and decide, is this something I really want to use for my life or not? Is this right for me or not? If it's wrong for me, why? If it's right for me, why? And do you love your reasons why? It really is enough to be just because I want to. I want this experience. I want to do this thing or not do this thing. Does that make sense? Are you hearing me? Basically, who the hell am I? I'm just another human. I literally have no special, divinely appointed power to tell you how to run your life. This podcast is a resource for you to get clearer on what you love and what experiences you want to cater your life to and which ones you don't. And in coaching, the beautiful thing about it is we get to have a two-way conversation, right? I get to say things with you and ask questions with you where you are always discovering more and more about yourself. And it gets to be an opportunity for two-way dialogue. And because of the format of a podcast, this by its very nature is one-sided. So some of the things on here can sound preachy. I admit that. I can sound like I am preaching at you sometimes. But I really want for you the opportunity to not take anything I say as preachy special knowledge, but rather take it and almost create that two-way conversation in your head. And should you decide to work with me, trust me, it is an amazing experience because it is different. It is two-way, and it is not at all me trying to convince you of anything. And I think that's the really fun thing about coaching. there are other coaches that I look up to, and online and in their ads and in their podcasts and whatever. Like, let's just take Mike for an example, right? It's a lot of teaching that's given publicly, that he gives publicly, right? And I do the same exact thing. But when we are coaching, it's like the other way around. I'm discovering things about myself, and he's there as a resource for me to discover more about myself. And that is the same experience that I create for you when you work with me as a client, when we work together one-on-one, or in the upcoming Iconic Queer Mastermind, right? There are things in my marketing with the podcast, with Instagram and everything, where I'm kind of teaching. And when you work with me, it is much more a self-discovery experience. And that is what makes my coaching so effective for building your confidence. Because can you imagine if I just preach to you all the time, then I'm taking you on an experience of still the correct way of doing life, or the answers to life are in me, not in you. And so it's, again, putting your security on the outside. It's insecurity by definition. And so that's really why I wanted to do this podcast, was one, just to admit, like, hey, first of all, I probably have said some things that are wrong in the past. I fully admit that. And two, to remind you that you have permission to always question anything that you hear from me, and that you can create any kind of experience here that you want to. And so I hope that you use everything from now on in this new way that's self-empowering to you, instead of what I know a lot of us have a tendency to do when we are naturally insecure people, is that we keep looking to podcasts and teachers, etc., as like they have it together. They know the answer, and I should just trust whatever they say, even if it feels like dog shit. So again, you are empowered. You have the autonomy here, and you always do. You always have. One of the experiences recently that I had that really brought some of my shortcomings to my attention. I have a really good friend here, and his name's Andrew. You've heard him if you've listened to the podcast series that I have with life coach Tandy. Well, Andrew and I are like best friends. We've been best friends for like 2 years now. We dated a long time ago, back in 2017, just for like 6 weeks. It's one of those like hot and quick kind of relationships. You know what I mean? Well, Andrew has been just a phenomenal friend, and he's also a coach. And so often we show up coach-like in our relationship with each other. And recently I'm trying to figure out, whatever. I'm just going to tell you all the details. Okay. So we used to lead a book club together, and I had decided that I didn't really want to continue with it anymore. Now, I really am proud of my reasons for not doing it, because I loved the social aspect of it. That's what I was there for. But the book club had evolved to a point where the people in the book club really were enjoying and loving the books and the book discussions, and like it really was turning into an actual book club. And me not being like an avid reader, and also not really loving like a wide genre of reading, I was really not enjoying it. I was finding that I wasn't looking forward to the Sundays when we would do book club. And I just was getting not really anything out of it as far as the discussion goes. Like I wasn't participating, and just because it wasn't really me, you know? And I was really having trouble reading the books because they weren't things that I was genuinely enjoying. And just as I have said many times on the podcast that like anything that you desire is okay, I really wanted to take my own advice. And I didn't desire to be part of it anymore. It wasn't my thing. It wasn't a great fit for me anymore because the things that I wanted weren't the things that really the book club had evolved to. So anyway, I go to him and I have a conversation with him and tell him that I'd like to take a break and everything. And I really kind of like, showed up real confidently and like spoke my truth here, just like I did to you just now, and was like, yep, this is going to be, a good idea. Here's why, blah, blah, blah. And it was like, boom, done. And the two of us had extraordinarily different experiences. I felt like I was going to shit my pants that entire conversation. I felt like I was going to throw up. I was nervous as hell to tell him about this. I felt like I was letting him down and the others in the book club down, who are my good friends. Like, I love these people. I really felt bad about the impact I was having on others around me. But I also knew what I really wanted for myself. And I thought I had had a vulnerable and truthful conversation. Fast forward 2 months, and he and I were like in a really rocky place. We were like not talking to each other. Something was up. And I reached out and was like, hey, I noticed something has shifted in our relationship. Can we get together and talk? And we got together. And he tells me that, we kind of talked about that being sort of a pivotal moment in our relationship recently. And he's like, you do this thing where you come and you're just like, I've got an idea. We're going to do it. This is what it's going to be. It's going to be great. You show up so confidently, Alex. And it's just like, boom, boom, boom. It's going to be fine. Done. And I was like, I do what now? What are you talking about? I experienced that day with so much nervousness. I was terrified to tell you about it. I felt really bad and awful about it. And I didn't really I didn't know how to tell you. And I wanted to also rush through it because I was like, get me out of here. It feels uncomfortable because I'm disappointing my friend. And we both realized in that we both need to speak up more. I totally missed the mark there. I could have had the opportunity to be brutally honest and say, hey, this makes me really nervous to say. I want to take a break from this book club, and I'm really worried about how you're going to react because you're my friend and I love you and I love this book club, but I don't think it's really a good fit for me anymore. That would have been a fully honest conversation. That would have been vulnerable. That would have been inviting to him to also show up with confidence and be authentic. Instead, I almost showed up, well, maybe not even almost, maybe I just the end of story did show up arrogantly. And it wasn't because I really felt confident on the inside, just as I have told you all before on the podcast, right? Confidence doesn't mean we always feel confident on the inside. We might feel very insecure on the inside, but we know how to speak up for ourselves and have our own back. Well, I did a great job of that, but what I missed was the opportunity to really invite him to be confident and him to share. I really almost unintentionally shut down the two-way nature of that conversation because I kind of came through like a steamroller and like a freight train, just boom, here we go. And that, my friend, was out of insecurity. I unintentionally shut down the other end, or maybe actually subconsciously intentionally created a one-way conversation instead of being vulnerable and sharing the way that I truly actually felt on the inside during the conversation. And that was a big aha moment. We had us talking through that and another similar scenario where I had done something very similar, I realized something about myself. And this is, I have no idea. Maybe this is a surprise to you, maybe not. But I have been for all my life so insecure. And I used to just people please and never speak up for myself. And now I've become proficient really at speaking up for myself. And still sometimes I don't, y'all. I am so far from perfect. Let's just start there. But I often do speak up now, and I often do have my own back, and I do really embody confidence. And what I have now realized is that in order to be the best example or help, and to not create a dynamic of I'm up here empowered and the other party, whether that be you listening to the podcast or watching Instagram or my friends in a conversation about what's next in our relationship, in order to not create a power dynamic of I'm empowered, you're just empowered because I'm here, boom, done, the end. I'm now in a place where my next challenge, my next growth point is to really be thinking about how can I be the most empowering to the other person on the other end of this conversation. And there's nothing that I can force them to do, right? We can't mind control anyone. We know that. We've talked about that before on the podcast. But what we can do is invite vulnerability into the conversation. And I want to do that right now here with you. Here's the truth. You've seen me post dance videos and stuff on Instagram. I get nervous almost every time I post one of those. It feels uncomfortable, but I also have now become accustomed to the thrill of that. I've been able to use my sensitivities, like we talked about with Mike, to decide ahead of time that when I do something that feels scary, I'm activating my sensitivity of thrill. And I love thrill. And it needs to include a little bit of fear. And so sign me up. It's like I get to be on the roller coaster every day that I post a dancing reel. I'm a little bit scared and I'm a little bit excited. I am thrilled. And every single consultation that I have ever done in my entire life, guess what? I've been very nervous. Yeah. And I know for a fact that many of you listening right now have had a consultation with me, and you either have worked with me or you haven't. Guess what? I bet you were nervous on that call. I was too. I get nervous all the time. And the neat thing about nervousness is we only get nervous about things that we care about, right? So the thing I want to remind you is that when you get on a consultation call, or when you do anything in life and you're nervous, it's okay. It's a good thing. You care. You care about it. When you go to post something on Instagram that is meaningful to you and you're not sure how people are going to judge it and you're nervous, it's okay. That's a good thing. Your nervousness is showing you care about it. And it can be really empowering to you and to the other person on the other end to call that out. Hey, I'm really nervous. I'm not sure how you're going to judge this. I'm not sure how you're going to judge me and this, but I'm going to say it anyway. I experienced this recently on a consultation call where someone told me, whoa, I just felt a wave of anxiety. And I was like, oh my goodness, me too. Don't worry. I'm anxious as well. And I had realized in that moment that this was another example of where I can be naming these things, where I can be calling it out and saying, hey, by the way, I'm nervous. And I invite you to be also nervous too. If that's the truth for you, it's okay. I'm not up here and somehow evolved to the point of a robot. No, the beautiful thing about our life is that we are not robotic, that we are humans who feel all the ups and the downs. And let me tell you, my friend, I feel a lot of downs. I feel insecure all the time. And I also am okay with it now. And that really is the ultimate version of confidence. And I realize that in many ways, here's another example of me being wrong. In many ways, I haven't been practicing what I preach. When I haven't been fully vulnerable about how I'm feeling, I've unintentionally created a scenario where you might have felt around me like, oh my gosh, Alex is so confident. I don't know how he does it, right? And that's not true. And I may have accidentally set up expectations for you that you're going to somehow evolve to a place where you don't feel insecure ever again and everything just comes easy and you can just, show your naked ass on Instagram like I do. I get nervous all the time. I don't feel confident all the time. That is good news. And I want to call that out from now till the end of time, that truthfully, please know that anytime you see that within me and think, wow, I don't know how he does it, I probably said to myself, oh my God, I don't know how I'm going to do this. I most likely felt insecure about it too. So I'm not some kind of superhero, not some kind of superhuman. I'm absolutely still human, and I invite you to feel like shit and do it anyway. I'm here with you, my friend. We can do this. We can do it. This feels good. This feels good. One more thing that I want to give you this little metaphor, and I wrote this in my notes and I'm like kind of forgetting what the point of the metaphor is, so we're gonna figure it out. Hold on. All right, so here we go. You ready? Let's jump in together. Who's nervous? Me. All right, if you want apples, you have to plant an apple tree and harvest from that tree. If you want confidence, you need to decide your power is already within you and invest your energy in a way that is in line with that. Got a little off track because I started like ad-libbing there. But I remember now exactly what my point was. I have invested in coaching in the past. I've bought coaching in the past. I purchased coaching in the past from a place where I thought that the coach that I was going to work with was going to give me all these answers and they knew how to do life better than I did. And so the experience that I ended up having working with them was fairly like insecurity triggering. And I didn't really always feel empowered in our time working together. It kind of created a little bit of a codependent environment, and also one where I constantly was looking to them to tell me what was right and what was wrong and what was I doing correctly and what was I not doing correctly. This is what I mean by like, if you want apples, then you have to plant an apple tree and harvest from that tree, versus if you want apples, confidence, and you plant peaches, investing while feeling insecure, investing in ways contrary to confidence. Contrary? Why does contrary sound weird? Okay. Contradictory, whatever, to confidence. Then you will end up, if you wanted apples and you planted peach seeds, you will end up only having peaches to harvest. Does this make sense? If you want confidence and you invest in working with me, if you plant the seed in working with me, if you purchase coaching to work with me, I am going to do my best to get you on board with seeing like how empowered you are. But my friend, you also, it's always like all I can ever deliver is an experience. I can't control the result that you get. I can't control how you come out on the other side. I wish I could. That would be fun. That would be really easy. I could just wave a magic wand, but I can't. I have a really awesome process and everything that like an experience that I lead you through, but we are partnering on this and you decide what seeds you put in the ground. So I invite you to plant seeds of confidence. If you're thinking about working with me, do it knowing that you are already empowered. That you are already an incredible, amazing human, one who has just sort of maybe forgotten or not seen how amazing they are, one who's kind of gotten lost in the programming of the world and felt insecure, but one who has the answers within them and wants an experience to help lead them closer to that true power within. Do you hear what I'm saying here? You are already empowered. You've got all of the answers for your life inside of you. What coaching is meant to do is just simply to help you go deeper, to know yourself more, to love that self more, and to have the confidence to live in line with that. It's not a replacement for religion. That would be turning this all into like basically a new cult. And let me tell you what, as someone who grew up in a cult, there's nothing more disempowering. Even if that cult is saying good things, it's always looking outside of yourself for the answers to life. And that will always keep you dependent on someone or something outside of you, instead of developing the confidence to know that the answer you seek is always, always, always within. You want to have a mind-blowing relationship, you have the answer within. You want to create wealth, you have the answer within. Do you want to start your own business? You have the answer within. Do you want to stand up to your boss, your partner, your family, come out to the world, post something provocative online, post something that is in line with your truth, speak up? You have the answer inside. That's where I want to end today, my friends. I love you so much. And I hope that this is the energy you take right into 2022 with you. That 2022 becomes the year of self-empowerment, where you realize that self-empowerment is not something you have to gain, but something you already have. You've just not seen it too clearly until now. Have a beautiful, wonderful, amazing day and the rest of your 2021 unicorn, and I will see you in the new year. Love you. Bye. If you enjoyed this episode, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with a friend so they too can become more confident. You can also help more people find the show by leaving a 5-star review wherever you listen. And if you want to become a more confident queer with support from yours truly, head to coachalexray.com or use the link down in the show notes. I'm looking forward to working with you.